Hi, this is Jeff Gentry, Bloodstain Pattern Analyst and Death Investigator. Today I'm going to demonstrate a question that I got from a friend, and that is about blood transfers. So what is a blood transfer? A blood transfer is when there's blood on an object and it's transferred to a surface, or when there's blood on a surface and it is disturbed by contact. So I'm going to demonstrate what those are. First, I'm going to do just a very basic blood transfer to a surface. I'm going to use my sponge, and so this is demonstrating if there were blood on an arm or a leg or some kind of an object, and it's just simply transferred to a surface. You can't really make out what the object is that transferred it to a surface. You can't really make out any motion associated with it, so that's going to be considered just a basic blood transfer. Now I'm going to use my paintbrush, and I'm going to demonstrate a swipe pattern. So a swipe pattern is a little different. A swipe pattern is when there's blood on an object, like a brush or an arm or hair or a hand, and it's transferred to a clean surface. But the unique thing about a swipe is that you can tell the relative motion associated with it. So there's blood on an object, like the paintbrush, and it's transferred to a surface. Now what you're seeing here is there's a larger volume of blood on the area of initial contact, and as that object drags across the surface, you see what is called a feathered edge at the edge of the pattern. So that is how I can tell what direction that object was traveling in. I'm going to do it again, going the opposite direction. So you can see it again. There's more blood volume at the initial point of contact, and then as you swipe across the surface, you see what's called a feathered edge. Now, the next blood pattern that I'm going to demonstrate is called a wipe. This is different than a swipe pattern. And a wipe pattern, I like to think of it as like windshield wipers, where there's blood or there's something on a window and then it's wiped through by the windshield wipers. So here I made a couple drip stains on this surface already. So these have already started to dry a little bit. So I'm going to just use my bare hand and I'm going to wipe through those blood stains. So you can see the original blood stain on the surface before I made contact with it, but then you can also see that wipe pattern through the blood stain. You see a feathered edge out here at this edge where I left contact with that surface. So a swipe is blood on an object transferred to a clean surface, and you can tell motion. A wipe is when there's blood on a surface already and you disturb it by contact. That could also be considered some form of an altered or changed blood stain. The final blood stain that I'm going to demonstrate that is still considered a transfer is a pattern transfer. So I'm just going to put some blood onto my glove. And a pattern transfer is unique from all the other transfers because you can actually make out what the object is transferring blood to a surface. One of the most common ones we see is weapons or hands or fingerprints. So here, I'm still creating a transfer. This would be still considered some form of a blood transfer, but you can actually see that there's 5 fingers. You can see that it's my left hand. You can see the thumb, but then you can also see a little bit of motion through it. I would classify that as a blood pattern transfer. And if I were looking at it at a crime scene, I would say it appears to be consistent with the shape of a human hand. So these are the 4 different types of blood transfers. There's just your basic blood transfer. There's your swipe that shows motion. There's the wipe where there's blood on a surface and it's disturbed by contact. And then you have the blood pattern transfer. So let me take off my glove here. And if you want to learn more about all these different types of blood stains, you can find my book on Amazon. It's a visual guide to bloodstain pattern analysis. This is a corresponding text to my online training course that is at the Death Investigation Training Academy. So if you turn to page 43 here, I'm talking about transfer bloodstains. So there's just the basic transfer. Then I go into the swipes, the wipes, and then also the pattern transfers. So all of this can be found on Amazon, as well as my book about suicide death investigation. This is a scenario-based approach that shows 10 different suicide scenarios and how you would go about investigating those and the information you want to obtain from each scene. Then I've got 2 of my cartoon books online. These were created with my wife. My wife illustrates these. This is Mr. Mosquito, Bloodstain Pattern Analyst. It is about a friendly mosquito like myself who is out solving crimes using his bloodstain pattern analysis abilities. I've also got my little plushie that my daughter made for me. So this is Mr. Mosquito, goes along with the textbooks. So check out all my information online. Again, my name is Jeff Gentry, Bloodstain Pattern Analyst and Depth Investigator.